Namaste friends, my name is Amit Garg. Welcome to my channel Ganesha-Hanuman.com. So we have a full moon coming up, a very powerful Ardra full moon. That's the deity is Rudra. So we have to do some things that can channel that energy in a positive direction. So lots of emotions, lots of abundance of creativity, abundance of nectar. So we can utilize that energy, but also cautious about certain things. So we'll talk about all the 12 signs. And you can see your rising sign as well as your moon sign. So applies to both. So you can see you can look at the two. So let's say you are Aries rising and you're, Scorpio moon, then you can watch both the sections of this video for Aries sign as well as Scorpio sign. So this will apply to you both. So let's get started. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So let's look at all the 12 rising signs, or all the 12 signs that includes rising sign or the moon sign. So this is the picture. Full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time, or so that'll be December 26th around 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time, December 26th, and that'll be 7:30 p.m. for East Coast Time, December 26th. So Ardra full moon. So for Aries rising, let me show you here. So this is, we're talking about number one sign, which is Aries, so either Aries rising or Aries Rashi. So the full moon is taking place in your third house. Okay, so this is the full moon in Gemini, in the nakshatra of Ardra. Okay, so full moon in your third house, there may be excessive emotions with respect to your siblings. Okay, and your communication may be very emotional with other people in general. Third house is also communication. Okay, so be careful and see, Ardra is a teardrop. Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop, and the deity is Rudra. So a lot of this change, transformation, like a storm kind of energy. But also it means rejuvenation, something new, renewal. It's like the freshness after the storm. Okay, so there could be a lot of inner conflict and change and transformation, but that results in something new, a renewal, something good. It's like the calm and the drops of water after the storm. So they're pure water. So renewal is a big theme for this full moon. So there may be some renewal or something new, change, transformation with respect to your siblings or with your friends, or neighbors, or uh, with respect to, this is actually a very, very good time to learn some new skills, especially skills with your hands. And be very careful with your communication in general, because third house is, the media, communication, marketing, all of that. So be careful with that. You can chant, do lots of meditation. You can chant the mantras for moon. You can charge your crystals. You can gaze at the moon. You can do moon, walking in the moonlight on that night. So all of those are really good, especially you could do that with your siblings. I mean, that's a great remedy for you. And also this is your fourth house ruler sitting in the third house, so 12th from itself. So there may be some change with your mother. Some things your mother may let go. And, so there may be some emotions with respect to your mother, or with her, or with your relationship with your mother. So careful with too many emotions when it comes to your mother or with your siblings. So that's the key thing. But otherwise, you can actually see moon is also trines to Saturn. So that means it's Saturn and moon together. They help you understand emotions of other people, suffering of other people. So this is a good time for you. You may be able to, this full moon actually may shed light on your deep relationship with your siblings at a deep emotional level. So this may reveal some things, and Ardra is also good for research, and so you can go investigate some areas. So that's Aries rising, or Aries Rashi, or both. So you can look at both ways. So now let's go to Taurus. Okay, so this is full moon, we're talking about full moon. And now we're talking about the sign of Taurus. And this applies to both Taurus rising or Taurus Rashi. If your moon is in Taurus, then also applies to you. So you have here a Taurus sign, and then moon is placed in the second house. So you're having a full moon in your second house, in the sign of Gemini and in Ardra nakshatra. As I mentioned, Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop. Okay, so there may be a lot of emotions, and full moon in Ardra, there will be abundance of emotions. Be careful with your emotions. But full moon in general is abundance of nectar, abundance of energy, emotional energy. And so we can utilize that. We can do some remedies and things related to that house. And in general, the remedies or the recommendations for full moon. So the moon is in your second house. So that relates to your speech, relates to your food. So be careful. Do not do emotional eating. This could be, that is a big thing for Taurus sign. Emotional eating during a day before or a day after full moon, that may be the case. So stay away from emotional eating. Your words may be they may come across as very emotional, because second house is the speech. So, careful when you say anything, not to be too emotional. And then also family and family wealth. Do not make any emotional decisions around your family wealth around this full moon. Okay, so stay away from that. And Ardra is rejuvenation, renewal, right? So renewal, so something new, so there'll be change, transformation with respect to second house matters. But then there'll be something new. It's like the freshness after the storm. That's also the Ardra symbol. And it's also your so moon is your third house ruler, sitting in the second house. So it's letting go of some things related to your siblings, your old way of doing things with them, or communication with them may change. So there may maybe some change and transformation in your relationship with your siblings. So all the remedies for full moon in general, a lot of meditation. You can actually charge crystals. A lot of people charge, renew or refresh their crystals on full moon. You can do moon gazing. You can look at the moon, moonlight, and you can walk in the moonlight. The full moon energy is very, very healing and calming and soothing. And you can keep water in the moonlight and then drink it the next morning. So that's a wonderful remedy. So that's for Taurus sign. The full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. in India. And that'll be 4:30 p.m. Pacific, December 26th, and 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. East Coast time on December 26th. So that'll be the full moon. So next we'll see the Gemini. So for the sign of Gemini, either Gemini rising or Gemini Rashi, this applies to you both. Let me mark it here. So this is number 3 sign, Gemini. Of course, you're having the full moon in your Lagna or in your Rashi, in your first house, basically. Okay. And moon is, of course, the ruler of the second house, which is Cancer, sitting in the first house. So this is an Ardra full moon on December 26th, 6 a.m. Indian time. That'll be December 26th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, and December 26th, 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. So what's happening is there may be an emotional overdose for Gemini rising. Because you see, moon sitting in first house anyway means a lot of emotions. But this is full moon, and this is the Ardra full moon. Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop. Okay, and the deity is Rudra. So a lot of change, transformation. Rudra cuts off things that are not needed. And teardrop, teardrop anyway means some kind of hardships, but also that represents the fresh water after the storm. So that's the theme for Ardra full moon. There may be a lot of change, transformation, inner conflict, but then there'll be renewal. It's the freshness after the storm. Okay, so good time for research also, resolving some inner conflicts. So in your first house, the full moon in your first house focuses your self-development, your personality, who you are. Go within. Excellent time to go within. But stay away from being too emotional. So don't let emotions take hold of you. And then this is also the second house ruler sitting in the first house. So that means some things related with your family, wealth, and with respect to your food, with respect to your speech. So be careful. Don't have, don't say words that are too emotional. So be careful with your speech. Be careful with your family wealth. Do not make any emotional decisions when it comes to family wealth. So this full moon, soak the energy for healing and resolving inner conflicts and doing some research. Then you'll get the nectar of the full moon. So that's the Gemini sign. And next will be Cancer. So this is number 4 sign, Cancer. So if you are Cancer rising or Lagna or Rashi, it applies to you both. So Cancer, of course, this is a very, very powerful time for you. Cancer, of course, the Lagna Lord or the Lord of the first house or Lord of the Rashi is moon itself. So we're talking about full moon. So we'll have full moon in the sign of Gemini sitting here. And it's going to be in the Ardra Nakshatra on December 27th, 6 a.m. Indian time, or December 26th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time and 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. So what's happening is full moon in your 12th house. See, full moon anyway is a lot of emotions, okay? And it's taking place in the 12th house. So that means letting go. So the idea is to let go of any emotional stuff, emotional baggage, especially in the nakshatra of Ardra. Ardra is represents a teardrop. That's the symbol. Ardra, the deity is Rudra, and the ruling planet is Rahu. So all of that means a lot of this inner conflict, change, transformation from within at a very deep emotional level. But that leads to renewal. It's like the fresh drops of water after the storm, the calm. It's the freshness of the it's the moment after the storm when everything seems fresh and new. Renewal is there. Okay, but 12th house full moon, you have to let go of emotional baggage, emotional stuff. And also, especially for Cancer, anyway, Cancer sign people are emotional in general, lots of emotions, because your ruler, Lagna Lord, is the moon itself. So the ruler of the first house or the rising sign or the Rashi will be in the 12th house full moon. And it's also trines to Saturn. So that means, there's possibility of, so moon and Saturn together actually are good to understand suffering of other people, but be careful, do not drown in the suffering of other people. Okay, so letting go is the big theme, but then all the other remedies, things you can do, a lot of meditation. You actually, this full moon, you'll be connected with the other planes of existence, with astral travel, with the ancestors, a connection with, you can do a lot of energy healing. Clairvoyance, excellent time for that. You can charge your crystals if you do crystal healing and things like that. A lot of meditation going within. You can gaze at the moon. You can look at the moon, absorb the energies, the nectar of the full moon, and you can also keep water out in the full moon night, throughout the night, and then drink it the next morning. And of course, walking in the moon, in the full moon light, the energy you soak up, and that's very, very healing. So that's in a nutshell the full moon coming up for Cancer sign, both Cancer rising as well as Cancer Rashi. Okay, next we'll talk about Leo. So we're talking about the sign of Leo. You see here, number 5 sign. This applies to if you're Leo rising sign or Leo Rashi. So the full moon is taking place in your 11th house here. Okay, and let me mark. So the moon is the ruler of Cancer, so it's your 12th house. So what's happening? Your 12th house ruler is in the 11th house. And so the full moon is taking place in your 11th house in the sign of Gemini in the nakshatra of Ardra. Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop. The deity is Rudra. The ruling planet is Rahu. So a lot of emotional stuff, change, transformation, and inner conflict. It's Ardra, it represents a storm. It's the teardrop. Anyway, Ardra is a very emotional nakshatra, and full moon will make it even more emotional stuff. So for Leo sign, for Leo Rashi or Leo Lagna, be careful not to be too emotional with respect to your friends. Do not, go on social media venting your emotions. 11th house is social media, networking. So be careful with your friends when it comes to, dealing with your emotions. Don't spill the beans, on social media about all your emotional stuff. And also do not cling, do not be very attached to your desires. You may feel, oh, I want this, I want that, and this is not getting fulfilled. Things like that. 11th house is our desires. So don't be too attached to your desires. And it's the 12th house ruler also, right? So 12th house represents energy healing, other planes of existence. You may actually gain from doing meditation on your ancestors, on other planes of existence, and things like that. And so this is the time to resolve inner conflicts and change and transformation around your friends, around your financial gains, your income. So think about ways which you can let go of things that are not serving you in terms of your finances also. Okay, so and then other remedies, you can do lots of meditation, you can charge crystals, you can look at the moon, the full moon energy, absorb the full moon energy, you can walk in the full moon, you can keep water overnight in the full moon and drink it in the morning, next morning. So that is the sign of Leo. The full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time, and that'll be 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on December 26th. So next we'll see Virgo sign. So this applies to Virgo rising as well as Virgo Rashi. Okay. So full moon taking place in your 10th house. Let's see. So first of all, this is number 6 sign, that's Virgo. And full moon is taking place in your 10th house. And the moon is your 11th house ruler. Okay. So what that means is, you see, moon is in Gemini, the full moon taking place in the sign of Gemini in Ardra Nakshatra, in your 10th house. So the focus will be on your career. Do not get too emotional when it comes to your career or dealing with your co-workers or authorities. That's the biggest, caution. And Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop, and the deity is Rudra, and the ruling planet is Rahu. So lots of emotionals, churning, inner conflict. So conflict related to your career, change and transformation. There may be some big changes, but then there'll be renewal. It's like the freshness after the storm. So that is Ardra. And so you'll do a lot of inner, conflict resolution, a lot of research, but then you'll find some new ways. There'll be renewal. And it's also the 11th house ruler sitting in the 10th house. So things to do with your friends, with the networking you do. So focus on networking, but don't be too emotional when it comes to social media or dealing with your friends. But reap the rewards of full moon, this abundance of energy, abundance of nectar. Channel that in the positive direction, not be too emotional. So if you leave out the emotions out of your career, anything to do with your career, then you can channel that energy, abundance of energy, in the positive direction. And of course, you can do regular remedies for full moon, which is our recommendations, which is a lot of meditation. You can charge crystals, you can gaze at the moon, you can walk in the moonlight, and then you can keep water overnight and drink it the following morning. So that absorbs all the nectar, all the amrita of the full moon. But a wonderful time to actually focus on your career and see where you have emotional triggers when it comes to career or dealing with the authorities. And then channel that abundance of energy in the positive direction. So lots of new things might come your way. There'll be renewal and change and transformation. And then you'll experience the freshness, as they say in Ardra Nakshatra, is the freshness after the storm. So you'll see new pathways opening up. So that is for Virgo, sign of Virgo, both Virgo, Lagna and Virgo Rashi. Next, we'll talk about Libra, the sign of Libra. Okay, so you see number 7 sign here, Libra. So if you're Libra rising or your moon is in Libra, your Libra Rashi, it applies to you both. So what's happening is we have a full moon taking place in your 9th house. Okay, and moon is, of course, your 10th house ruler of Cancer. So full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time, and that'll be December 26th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time, or 7:30 p.m. East Coast Time. So December 26th in the US, December 27th in India. So full moon taking place in the sign of Gemini, number 3 sign, and in the nakshatra of Ardra. Ardra represents a teardrop. The deity is Rudra, the fierce form of Shiva, and the ruling planet is Rahu. So a lot of change, transformation. Ardra, it anyway is a very emotional nakshatra, and the full moon taking place in Ardra means lots and lots of emotions. So be careful dealing with your father. There could be excess of emotions. Be careful dealing with the gurus, with your sangha. And you may actually find a lot of emotional attachments with your dharma, with the way you practice your dharma or your religion or spirituality. So the key is recommendation is let go of emotional stuff when it comes to your father, when it comes to your gurus, when it comes to your dharmic path, when it comes to your sangha. So otherwise there'll be, there could be teardrops, right? So that's the symbol of Ardra. But Ardra also represents renewal. It's the freshness after the storm. So that means you'll see new ways of, dealing with your father or with your gurus. Your connection, your relationship with your father and gurus will actually, as you'll see, a renewal and rejuvenation and some kind of transformation in that. And so, but it's the 10th house ruler sitting in the 9th house. So connection with your career and your gurus and your father, all of that. You can do the remedies, lots of meditation. 9th house anyway is a very spiritual house, right? So full moon in the 9th house means spend the day with your sangha. That's the best thing you can do for Libra sign. Do lots of meditation. You can charge crystals. You can look at the moon. You can walk in the moonlight, and you can keep water in the moonlight and drink it the next morning. So that's Libra sign. But for Libra in general, the 9th house will be activated during this full moon and make full use of that energy. Okay, so next is Scorpio sign of Scorpio. So it could be Scorpio rising or Scorpio Rashi. Let me mark it here. So this is the number 8 sign, that's Scorpio. And you're having a full moon in your 8th house. Very, very, very sensitive and powerful time for Scorpio people. So you have a full moon in your 8th house in Ardra Nakshatra. Lots happening for Scorpio. First of all, Scorpio sign is a very hidden sign. And this applies to you whether you're rising Scorpio or your Rashi is Scorpio, especially if Rashi is Scorpio. So you're a very hidden person. And you may have these emotions, bubbling under the surface, and then all of a sudden you erupt. So in general, emotions is a big theme for Scorpio people. Now, this is the full moon. So add to that, this is the full moon anyways, is abundance of emotions. Add to that the full moon taking place in the nakshatra of Ardra. Ardra means teardrop, lots of emotions. Rudra is the deity and Rahu is the planet, ruling planet. So 8th house anyway is deep emotions and hidden stuff, hidden emotions. Okay, so be very, very, very careful, Scorpio rising in Scorpio Rashi, not to be too emotional, not to drown in the emotions. Ardra, the symbol is teardrop. Focus on the renewal aspect of Ardra, which is the freshness after the storm. So there will be emotional cleansing, there will be emotional churning, there will be transformation and change, lots of change happening at a very deep level. 8th house matters for Scorpio, and pay attention to that. And the remedies, of course, just let go of emotions, let go of any past emotions. or anything coming up, focus on renewal and focus on your connection with your gurus, with your father, and also go deep in some spiritual studies. This is excellent time to study something spiritual, very deep esoteric subjects. You'll understand those things at a very deep level, in the depths of your heart, right? So not with your mind, but with your heart. So you'll have a connection with anything you do during this full moon at a very deep level in your heart. So do lots of meditation, lots of spiritual studies, change, transformation, energy healing. You can charge crystals, you can do moon gazing, you can walk in the moon, you can keep water overnight and drink it the next morning. The charge that water with the full moon energy. So big caution, stay away from emotional stuff. There could be change, transformation, inner conflict resolution, but there'll be renewal, the freshness after the storm. Ardra represents a storm. It's the Rudra. So Rudra will cut off the things not needed. So that's the full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. in India. And that'll be December 26th in the US around 4:30 p.m. Pacific and 7:30 East Coast time. So December 26th evening, afternoon is excellent. The whole day of December 26th after Christmas will be good for doing a lot of meditation. So next will be Sagittarius. Okay. So let's see what's happening. So this is number 9 sign is Sagittarius, and that could be a rising sign or it could be a Rashi. Applies to both. Okay. So full moon taking place in your 7th house. Okay. And moon is the ruler of your 8th house. So full moon, anyway, number one, full moon is all about excess of emotions, abundance of energy, abundance of nectar. And then it's taking place in the nakshatra of Ardra, which represents a teardrop. And the deity is Rudra, and it's ruled by Rahu. So a lot of change, transformation, inner conflict. Ardra, that's what Ardra is. But then add to that full moon. Full moon, anyway, is a lot of emotions. So stay away from emotional stuff with respect to your relationships. This is the 7th house we're talking about. Very careful not to be too emotional. Just let go. I mean, don't think about if some deep emotions come to surface, let them go. Don't react. Don't think about those. But then it's also a good time to connect at a very deep emotional level with your partner. So channel it in the positive direction, because Ardra represents the freshness after the storm. So you'll discover ways of connecting with your partner at a very deep emotional level in new ways. Okay, but if you're stuck in the old ways, old emotions, this might be difficult because Ardra represents a teardrop. And it's also your 8th house ruler sitting in the 7th house. So a lot of change, a lot of transformation, a lot of hidden stuff coming up, a lot of secrets may be revealed. So this is the time to do research. Ardra is also research and find out, what makes you connect at a very deep emotional level in a positive way. And then you can do rejuvenation and renewal of your relationship, inner like conflict resolution. So the remedies are maybe do meditation together with your partner. Do lots of meditation. You can charge crystals, you can look at the moon, you can walk in the moonlight, you can keep water overnight and then drink it the next morning. And do that with your partner. It could be both your, like your spouse or your business partner, but this is all one-on-one relationships. So big caution, do not be too emotional in your relationships. So that's the full moon taking place on December 27th, 6 a.m. Indian time and 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on December 26th. So in US, it's December 26th. In India, it's December 27 morning. Okay, so that's the sign of Sagittarius. And next we'll talk about Capricorn. So if you are, so let me show you. So we're talking about this number 10 sign, which is Capricorn. So if you're Capricorn rising or Capricorn Rashi, which is the moon sign, applies to you both. And so full moon taking place in your 6th house. Okay. And let me show. So it's the 7th house ruler sitting in the 6th house, and you have a full moon. Full moon, anyway, means abundance of energy, emotions, abundance of nectar, abundance of amrita. So we want to make use of that. And it's taking place in the nakshatra of Ardra, which means the symbol is a teardrop. The deity is Rudra, which is the fierce form of Shiva. And the ruling planet is Rahu. Okay, so be careful with your emotions in general. That's for all full moons, but especially Ardra. Now, taking place in your sixth house. Okay, sixth house deals with the enemies. So when it comes to your enemies, people who may be troubling you, things like that, you may feel very, very emotional with respect to those people, right? Or this sixth house is also our inner enemies. Shadripus are six weaknesses. You may feel, oh, I get angry, but then you keep thinking about it. Why do I get angry? Why do I get angry? Let go of that. This is the time to just let go of any emotional stuff when it comes to your six weaknesses, the six inner weaknesses, which is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar. Okay. And also dealing with the enemies and dealing with the people who work for you, workers or helpers, and be very careful. Do not be too emotional when you're dealing with people who work for you. And also at your job, sixth houses are 9 to 5 kind of a job, not business, but if you do a job, and be very careful not to be too emotional at your job. Okay, so all that very, very key recommendations for Capricorn sign is let go of emotions when it comes to your enemies, when it comes to your inner enemies as well, people who work for you, and also not to get too emotional at your work. Um, uh, the best remedy is to do volunteer work. Sixth house is helping other people, volunteer work. So at a very deep emotional level, you'll be able to connect to the suffering of other people because this full moon is in trines to Saturn. That anyway gives you access to the suffering of other people at an emotional level. So and it's because it's taking place in your sixth house, gives you this extra energy, extra understanding of suffering of other people, and you can do a lot of volunteer work. So that'll be ideal. And then start some health routine, do lots of meditation, inner conflict resolution. That's perfect for Capricorn. And so you'll see a renewal. It's like freshness after the storm. That's Ardra. So good time. Two big things to focus on. One is focus on your health, uh, especially like mental health, also like meditation, but also some new health routines, exercise and yoga, things like that. But also second thing is focus on helping other people this full moon. It'll be very, very rewarding. And then, of course, you can do other remedies, lots of meditation. You can charge crystals. You can gaze at the moon. You can walk in the moonlight. You can keep water overnight to absorb the full moon energy and then drink it the next morning. So that's the full moon taking place on December 27th, morning, 6 a.m. And it'll be December 26th in the US, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 East Coast. So December 26th US, December 27th morning, India. All right, so that was Capricorn sign. So next we'll talk about Aquarius. So if you're Aquarius, number 11 sign Aquarius rising or Aquarius moon sign, it applies to you both. So what's happening, you have the full moon taking place in your fifth house, and moon is the ruler of your sixth house. Okay, so this full moon will be on December 27th morning, 6 a.m. India time. And that'll be December 26th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific and 7:30 East Coast. Now, this full moon taking place in your fifth house, which represents our romantic partners and our children and our students. Okay, so don't get too emotional when it comes to all of these relationships. Your children, your romantic partners, and your students. Because you see, first of all, full moon anyway is abundance of emotions, overflow of nectar. Second, it's going to take place in the sign of Gemini, in the nakshatra of Ardra, which represents a teardrop, and the ruling deity is Rudra, the fierce form of Shiva. So lots of change, transformation, inner conflicts. So this is a good time to resolve some conflicts with your children, conflicts with your romantic partners, conflicts with your students. A good time to let go of emotional stuff when it comes to these relationships. Okay, otherwise this will be too heavy on you, because Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop. Literally, you might be crying if you don't let go of these emotions with respect to your children and your partner, romantic partner, and also, but amazing time for creativity. Fifth house is creative things. So at a very deep level in your heart, come up with some creative stuff, and focus on creativity. Let go of emotions. That's the big, one line summary or recommendation. Let go of emotions and focus on creativity. Create something new, give birth to something new, and do lots of meditation. Good time to do meditation with your children or with your romantic partners. You can charge crystals, you can gaze at the moon, you can walk in the moonlight, and then you can keep water overnight to absorb the energies of full moon and then drink it the next morning. And so it's also the sixth house ruler sitting in the fifth house, right? So bring in like the people who work for you and connection with health. Start some new health routines with your children, maybe. So a lot of emotional stuff happening on this full moon for all 12 signs, but especially for Aquarius sign, this will be with respect to your children or romantic partner. So that's in a nutshell the full moon coming up on December 27th and 26th for Aquarius sign. So next will be Pisces. So if you're Pisces, Lagna or Pisces Rashi, this applies to you. You have number 12 sign Pisces, and so the full moon is taking place in your fourth house. Okay, and it's the moon is the fifth house ruler sitting in the fourth house. First of all, so it's taking place on December 26th morning, 6 a.m. India time, and that'll be December 26th in US, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 East Coast. So full moon, first of all, means a lot of emotions, excess of emotional energy. It's taking place in the nakshatra of Ardra, which represents a teardrop. So maybe a lot of emotional drama with respect to your mother, or emotions in your house, place of residence, or emotions connected with your vehicles, things like that. So that's the big caution for Pisces. Because Ardra, the symbol is a teardrop, right? So there may be literally tears with respect to your mother or with respect to your place of residence. Do not get too emotional. But Ardra, it's the deity is Rudra, but then it also represents the fresh energy after the storm. Okay, so a lot of renewal, change, transformation when it comes to your mother or place of residence. So a good thing to do is make your home, make your house like a sanctuary, like a meditation place. Invite people to do lots of meditation in your home. That's the fourth house. Okay, so do some good time to do some inner conflict resolution. Ardra energy will help you, especially the full moon. So lots of meditation. You can charge crystals. You can gaze at the moon. You can walk in the moonlight. You can keep water overnight in the moonlight and then drink it the next morning. But for Pisces sign, both Pisces rising as well as Pisces Rashi, connection with your mother and also with your children, because moon is the fifth house ruler sitting in the fourth house. So do things with your children, with your mother at your place of residence. Do lots and lots of meditation. Do some creative work. Fifth house is also creative energies. So abundance of creative energies on this full moon in Ardra Nakshatra taking place on December 27th. So that's for all the 12 signs. I hope you like it, and focus on the remedies for each of the 12 signs, and let me know your feedback in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.